Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Parama Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Sarva Gurubhyo Namaha. So we are reading from Hari Bhakti Vilas. We've started the fifth Vilas, and we came to the part about we've come into the temple and offered some preliminary pujas to the deities at the different prakaras entering the temple, the different enclosures, and also entered into the deity room, right? And now what we were talking about is we're talking about placing the asana that we're going to sit on to do puja, and we finished off talking about what direction that we have to face. So normally, obviously, we face the deity in the temple, but otherwise, the best direction is east, and the second best direction is north. So we just go a couple of verses back. We actually finished, I believe, with text 19, but text 18 says to place the asana and purify the asana, and we could do this probably by sprinkling or touching it with our right hand. Om Adara Shakti Namaha is the mantra for placing the asana. And text 19 says that a worshipper of Sri Krishna should sit firmly, facing east during the day or facing north during the night. And if he's in the temple, he should face the deity. And that is reiterated from a verse from the Bhagavatam, and Srimad Bhagavatam 11:27-19. Chapter 27 of the 11th canto is Lord Krishna's instructions on deity worship. So the 19th verse says to us, Asinaha prag udag vacharet stirayam tvarta sammukaha. Right, so the devotee should face either east or north. So the two in the first line it says prag udag. Prag and udag means north, prag means east. But if he is in the temple, he should sit facing the deity. Sammukha means facing the deity. So continuing on with text 21 and 22, it gives us actually the mantra for purifying the asana or for establishing the asana. And it goes like this. Asana mantrasya meruprista rishihi sutalam chandaha kurmo devata asana bimantrane viniyogaha. This first sloka here is actually the mantra nyasa. So when we chant any mantra, there's a thing called mantra nyasa. Mantra nyasa means that we should know the name of the mantra. We should know the rishi or the seer or the rishi responsible for either writing or for seeing in meditation this mantra, right? So we should know the chandaha or the meter, the poetic meter of the mantra. We should know the particular deity that is addressed by this meter, and we should know the purpose or the vidyogaha of this mantra, right? So when we say those things, we say, for instance, here we have the asana mantrasya. So we first of all say, this is the asana mantrasya. This is the mantra for the asana, of the asana. Then we say meruprista rishihi. So the rishi of this mantra is called meruprista. So meruprista rishi is the rishi of the asana mantra. When we say the rishi, we usually touch our head, right? Then when we say with the four fingers of the right hand, touch the head. Sutalam chandaha. Sutalam is a particular type of meter, Sanskrit meter. So sutalam chandaha, we touch the nose, or we touch in front of the nose or in front of the mouth, because the nose and mouth have to do with our chanting, and so therefore we touch in front of there. Some people touch, and some people just hold the hand in front. This is called by bhava, by our mentality. We think that we're touching, but we don't actually touch, because if we have to actually touch, then we have to wash our hand, because we should not touch the mouth or the nose without washing the hand normally. So, okay, so although although in Srotrachmana, the nose is considered to be one of the seats of Agni, so it is perhaps purifying to touch the nose, but the mouth specifically we shouldn't touch without washing. So, asana mantrasya merapristadishihi sutalam chandaha, right? And then when we think about the devata or the different, the particular deity addressed by the mantra, then we should touch the heart. Now, some people touch the right side of the chest, but normally people just touch the middle of the chest, even though the heart is on the right. The heart is on the the heart is on the left side of the chest. They just touch in the middle of the chest. So for the heart. So the idea is we should meditate at this time that the particular deity of the mantra is situated in meditation in our heart. The mantra, the deity in this particular case is Kurma. Kurma is the turtle or tortoise incarnation, turtle incarnation of the Lord. And the turtle incarnation of the Lord held up Mount Mandara. So the Leela is that when Kurma Avatar came, there was a mountain that was placed on his back, and that mountain was churned, and the ocean of milk was turned into the nectar of immortality by the cooperation of the demons and the demigods, the asuras and ansuras, the devatas and the asuras. Okay, so this Kurma is a deity which, his whole Leela was to hold up the mountain. So this is why we meditate upon, because the asana is going to hold us up. So therefore, the deity of the asana is the Kurma avatar. So Kurmo Devata, we touch again with 4 fingers. We can touch or 4 or 5 fingers even. We can touch the middle of the chest. So, and then Abhimantrane, or some people say Pavitra Mantrane, or whatever it is, Abhimantrane Viniyogaha. So Viniyogaha is the purpose of the mantra. And when we say the purpose of the mantra, what we do is we hold our hands, we open our hands, and we fold our hands in once, twice, or thrice. We can fold them in towards the self. And then think about this is the ritualistic action that goes along with the mantra. So once again, I'll just go through it again. Asana mantrasya benupistadishihi sutalam chandaha Shri Kurmo Devata or Kurmo Devata Abhimantrane Viniyogaha. That's the way to do it. That is called mantranyasa. Now, according to the Chandogya Upanishad, and also according to many other texts, but Chandogya Upanishad is a very good pramana for doing this particular type of nyasa, because it's a Shruti pramana. It's one of the greatest pramanas come from the Vedas. The Vedas are considered to be the highest pramana. So sutalam, this mantra nyasa should be done for every mantra that we use. So every mantra that we use, before we use it, we should know the name of the mantra. We should know the rishi of the mantra. We should know the chanda of the mantra, the meter of the mantra. We should know the devata or the god, which is addressed in the mantra, and we should know the purpose of the mantra. If we don't know those things, then it's not correct. It's considered to be second class that we don't know those things. So we're being taught a mantra here. We should know all those things, and we should perform the nyasa before, the mantra nyasa. So that's why in the first sentence it gives us the mantra nyasa. Now the actual mantra is the next sloka, is the next one. So we can say Om. We can start any mantra with Om. Om means, oh my Lord, Sriman Narayana or Krishna, right? Om Prithvi Tvaya Drita Loka Devi Tvam Vishnuna Drita Tvam Cha Daraya Mam Nityam Pavitram Asanam Kuru. It's written here. It can also be Pavitram Chasanam Kuru. Doesn't change the meter. The same number of syllables are there. So this is an Anustup mantra, which is 4 lines of 8 syllables or 2 lines of 16 syllables, however you want to break it up. And so it's a very easy verse to chant. So this is the system of meditating on the asana and praying to the Lord to keep us up, hold us up, just like Kurma held up Mount Mandara. Okay, so here it says the predominating sage of the asana mantra is Meripristi. It should be chanted in the Sutala Mita. Lord Kurma is the objective of this mantra that glorifies the asana. O earth, you are the sustainer of all living entities. O goddess, Lord Vishnu had lifted you from the depths of the ocean, kindly sustain me and sanctify my sitting place. So some people chant this before they sit down. Other people after they've purified the asana with Om Adara Shakti Namaha, which is that Pita mantra, which we discussed in the previous verse. Then they sit down and then they chant this mantra. They say, they do the mantra nyasa and then they chant this prayer with folded palms there. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the different types of asanas that there might be. So text 23 from Narada Pancharatra. We've got some verses, looks like a verse and a half here, saying bamboo, stone, wood, or clay are not proper materials for making an asana. An asana made of kusha grass is auspicious. Now, kusha grass is also considered to be the hairs from Lord Varaha. When the Lord appeared as a boar and fought the demon Hiranyaksha and saved the earth planet, then some hair fell from his body and that grew up as kusha grass. This kusha grass is also called darba and is considered a very holy grass, a very purified grass. So we use it in many rituals, especially in fire ceremonies. And so an asana, when you make an asana out of kusha grass, that's very auspicious. Now, what they do in South India, if you don't have a kusha grass asana, if you don't have a full asana made of kusha grass, and if you do sit on a full asana of kusha grass, it is said that you should try to have the tips facing east or north. How you can do that when the grass is woven back and forth, we don't really know. But in any case, if you don't have a kusha grass asana, what you can do is you can just take two short darba pinjalis, two short pieces of darba of kusha grass, and you can take them and you can put them underneath you. After you sit down, you can take some and you can just put them underneath yourself, like that. That's enough. That's what people do in South India. So anyway. However, an asana made of other kinds of grass and leaves will only award one distress, poverty, and disease. Okay, so a learned person should not use such an asana. So here are some forbidden asanas to use: the bamboo, the stone, the wood, the clay. Now we have to say that in South India, we've seen many, many times people use a wooden asana. So, how much people take note of these particular things, we don't know, these particular rules. It does say that other types of grass or other leaves which are woven into asanas should not be used. Kusha grass should be used. So the skin of a spotted deer or a blanket can also be used as an asana. When they say a blanket, what they mean is they mean a wool piece of wool. And it's very common in South India. You can buy a woolen asana. You can also get this spotted deer asana. The Maharaja of Mysore, back when Hawaii was a kingdom, donated some of these black deer, which are called Krishna deer. The deer is called Krishna deer because it's a deer which has black spots on it. And this particular type of deer also runs wild. It runs wild in the Hawaiian Islands and especially on Maui. And in fact, there's a lot of them. There's so many of them that the government actually tries to keep the population down. And also, this deer is very common in Mysore state in Karnataka in South India. So this is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. And we can see the word Krishnajinam. Krishnajinam means a deer skin. In this particular type of deer skin, in South India, if you ask for Krishnajinam, that's a deer skin to sit on. Okay, so then if we continue on with text 24, it's going to explain some different types. In as I was going to say, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna suggests when he talks about meditation, I believe it's in the 4th chapter, he talks about going to the forest, to a holy place, to a secluded place, and placing a deer skin on the ground, and then covering it with a cloth, meaning with a woolen cloth. So woolen asana on top of that, and then sitting on top of that. So there's kusha grass, deer skin, and wool, which are all, so perhaps I'm not exactly sure of the order in which they're placed, but in any case, these asanas are all put there, and one sits on there, and that's recommended in Bhagavad Gita for sitting for meditation. So, text 24, one should prepare a soft asana with the skin of a spotted deer or a tiger skin. And more is going to be said about the different types of asanas, but that's going to come in Vilasa number 17. Chapter 17 of Hari Bhakti Vilasa deals with what we call Purascharya or Purascharana, which means the process by which one gets the perfection of the mantra which he was given in initiation. So after a person receives a mantra in initiation, in chapter 2 of Hari Bhakti Vilasa, the initiation ceremony is given. So in the Diksha, the Guru gives the mantra to the disciple, the Shishya, and the Shishya has to then use the mantra and try to perfect his chanting of the mantra and perfect his understanding of the mantra. There are two things with the mantra, of course: the understanding of the esoteric meaning of the mantra, and then the use of the mantra in rituals, in either japa, homa, tarpana, deity worship here, as we see. So this particular mantra that we're dealing with here mostly is the Kamadev, the Krishna, the Astadasakshara Gopal mantra, and that mantra should, in the 17th chapter, it describes how you should sit and do japa a certain number of times of the mantra. Now, normally that Purascharana or Purascharya system, normally it is said that you should do 1 lakh or 100,000 times japa of a mantra for every syllable in the mantra. So 18 syllable mantra will be chanted 1,800,000 times. So 18 times 100,000, because there's 18 syllables. That's the normal situation in the normal recommendation in Mantra Shastra. But now there may be some other recommendations of different numbers for different mantras, just like the I believe 32 million times for the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, whatever it is. Anyway, so if we read Kali Shantana Upanishad. So, okay, so here we again, getting back to the asanas, and we'll learn more about them in chapter 17. But here it says one can make an asana with a spotted deer skin, with a tiger skin, and in chapter 17 it's going to give you it's going to explain it may explain it right here actually a little bit. It'll explain the sitting on different things will give you different results. Okay. So sitting on the deer skin, sitting on a tiger skin, on silk, on cane. Now, I'm not sure here what the difference between cane is, and we have in the previous sloka, we have bamboo. Normally, if somebody said to me cane and bamboo, I would say they're the same thing. A blanket or a black deer skin. Okay, so there's black deer skin, there's a spotted deer skin, there's different types of deer skin, there's a tiger skin, and there's the cane asana, the silk asana, and the woolen blanket. Okay. So continuing on with the next couple of sutras, 25 to 26, a number of verses. These are also from Narada Pancharatra, and Narada Pancharatra it mentions, learned personalities have ascertained that an asana made of bamboo awards poverty. Okay, so you can use an asana of bamboo. That's why the bamboo was rejected, because it gives poverty. The asana made of stone causes disease. An asana of clay gives distress. All of these were rejected in the previous couple of verses. An asana made of wood awards misfortune. An asana made of grass diminishes one's prestige. An asana made of leaves causes disturbance in the mind. An asana made of kusha Kusha grass removes illness, and an asana made of a blanket takes away miseries. So there are some good reactions for sitting on certain asanas, and some not so good reactions. You can take your choice of what type of asana you want. The asana of a deer skin normally is considered to give knowledge, and the tiger skin, sitting on a tiger skin, is considered to give mystic cities, mystic perfections. But it's not exactly mentioned here. So text 27, we're reading from the Bhagavad Gita. I was wrong. I said fourth chapter, but here it's the sixth chapter. So in the sixth chapter, text 11 of Bhagavad Gita, it says, to practice yoga, one should go to a secluded place. The word here is given Socho Deshe, right? So it's a sacred place, or it's a holy place. It's a pure place, and should lay down kusha grass on the ground. So first of all, lay down kusha grass on the ground, then cover it with the deer skin and a soft cloth, and the cloth will be made of wool. The seat should neither be too high nor too low, and should be situated in a sacred place. Okay. Text 28. One should sit on the asana according to the rules and regulations that are prescribed in his sampradaya. So there may be some difference in the lineage that you follow as to how exactly you sit on the asana, and arrange all the ingredients that are required for his worship, for the Lord's worship, to be put in the respective places. So after you sit down, then you do what is called the patra sadhana, and that's going to be spoken of next. Patra are the different vessels and different samagris or ingredients that are going to be used in the worship. So these have to be placed around you. So these are either placed, if you're standing, they're placed on a table so that you can reach them. If you're sitting, when you're doing puja here, they're placed around you and on the floor. Sometimes they're placed on something else like a plate, and not directly on the floor. And it just depends upon the particular thing. Okay, so we have here an explanation in the next couple of verses about placing or establishing the different patras or vessels that are used for worship. So it says one should keep the conch shell on a stand on his left side. So here we're talking about the conch shell, which is going to be used to pour water or bathe the deity or the shalagram which we're going to be worshipping. So that is placed on a conch shell stand. Later on, we'll be understanding, maybe we'll get some information about how to worship the conch shell or establish the conch shell and establish even the stand. So when we place the conch shell, we place it on the left side. And first of all, we place the stand, and then we place the conch shell. Some other Padadis describe how we first of all have to purify the spot by drawing a particular mandala, like a satkona mandala or a trikona mandala, either a six-pointed or a three-pointed diagram, and then place the conch shell on it. We have to, normally what we do is before we place something somewhere, we purify the place that we're going to place it. Then we purify the item by sprinkling some water on it, and there may be some different mantras involved in that. Sometimes, very typically, we chant the Vyahritis, 3 Vyahritis, Om Bhurbhava Suvaha, or Om Bhurbhava Swa in North India. So Suvaha or Swa are interchangeable depending upon the particular branch of the Veda that you follow. If you follow the Krishna Yajurveda, you will say Suvaha. If you follow the Shukla Yajurveda, you will say Swa. So Om Bhurbhava Swa or Om Bhurbhava Suvaha, like that, and sprinkle something that is a way of purifying. There are other mantras which are used to purify things, but normally we touch or sprinkle a thing and then place it in a particular place that it has to go. So here it's saying the very first thing it says is keep the conch shell on the left side, which is interesting because you're going to hold the conch shell in your right hand. So why would you put it on the left side? Doesn't seem to be right, does it? So you're going to have to, there must be a reason for this, but we don't know. Okay, so one should never place the conch shell on the floor, right? So it's mentioned that it should be placed on a stand. Now, There may be another type of conch shell also that may be used, and there's a blowing conch, which makes a sound, which is a very auspicious sound, and which is sometimes used in puja. And then there's also the bathing conch, the conch which is used for pouring liquids during Abhishekam, the bathing of the deity. So next to the conch shell, so we place the conch shell on the stand on the left side, and maybe if we look at the commentary, maybe there's some more explanation about exactly how to purify the place and to place the conch shell, but we haven't looked at it. So let's continue on. Next to the conch shell, which one should place the plates of, plates means the vessels which are going to contain Padya, Argya, Madhuparka, and Achmaniya. So these are normally put like that. In the Sri Vaishnava system, there's a specific order and specific directions that they have to be placed in. Normally, the Madhuparka is not included, but we'll see later there'll be lists given in Hari Bhakti Vilasa of upacharas or services which are offered to the deity. So normally 16 services are offered to the deity in a particular puja, any deity. And these sometimes include Madhuparka, sometimes they don't include Madhuparka. So, for instance, a typical system is to make a square with one pot in the middle and 4 pots in the corners of these patras, and this is called setup is called panchapatra. Sometimes we think of one patra or one vessel, the one which we use for achmana or for purifying things like that, which has water in it. We call that a panchapatra. But in fact, the word panchapatra means 5 vessels. So typically what we do is we have 5 of these vessels, and those vessels are Padya, Argya, Achmaniya, Shnaniya, and Sudodika. The 5th one is called Sudodika, which is used for, Sudodika means pure water, which is used for purifying the others, or purifying the spoon in between using the spoon for the others, like that. So each one of them is going to have different items that we put in it, as well as water. So normally the system of patra sadhanam is that you purify the place, purify the patra, put it down on the place, then place the items in it, and there are mantras for each one of these things, and then fill up the patra with water, after putting the ingredients in it. So that sometimes we say Omastraya Pat, and we sprinkle the thing Omadar, and then we place the thing and the patra, and then we put something inside it. We say Om Hridaya Namaha, because the heart of the patra, we put something inside. Then we say Om Shirase Swaha, we pour water in and we fill it up. So this is a typical system of patra sadhana. But we'd have to look at the commentary to see if he's mentioned all those steps. But in any case, he just mentions here that we have to put these different patras containing Padya, Agya, Madhuparka, and Achmani. He hasn't described what these things are yet, but he will describe what they are. So on his right side, he should keep tulsi leaves, sandalwood paste, and flowers. So obviously, these have to be kept. They cannot be kept directly on the floor because the floor is not considered clean, and therefore we should put just like we should not sit directly on the floor, we should also not put these things on the floor like tulsi leaves, sandalwood paste, flowers. They should be on some sort of tray. So a pitcher of water should be kept on one's left side. So on the left side, we keep, in South India, in Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, we call it a tiru kaveri, but it can also be a pot, a kumbha, or a ghat. There are many different words in Sanskrit, or a karaka. Karaka also sometimes means a pot with a spout, a spouted water pot. So in any case, you have to have a large vessel with water in it, because you need extra water in the worship. So continuing on, there's some other things which we're going to talk about placing. So it says on the left side, one should keep an oil lamp. And on the right side, one should keep a ghee lamp. What's the difference between an oil lamp and a ghee lamp? An oil lamp here normally would mean what we call a pratyaksha deepam. Pratyaksha deepam, pratyaksha means a light that you can see directly. Pratyaksha means that we can empirically see the light burning. Okay, a pratyaksha deepam would be a standing lamp, a lamp which is standing and which is burning. There's also some mantras for lighting the lamp. If the lamp is not already going on, sometimes in some temples they keep the lights burning continuously, so they don't need to light the lamp; it's already lit. But in other places, you simply have to trim the wick sometimes to keep and add more oil to keep the light burning if it's already burning. But if it's not burning, you might have to light it, and there might be some mantra to light the lamp, Om Deepeshwaraya Namaha, or something like that. So this is called Pratyaksha Deepam. So on the left side, you keep a lamp, an oil lamp, which is burning, and that you can use to light up your ghee lamp and to light up your incense and to do whatever you and also it may give you light to see and do the worship of the Lord. That's called a Pratyaksha Deepam. So the oil lamp is kept on the left side, and the ghee lamp should be kept on the right side. That ghee lamp can have different number of wicks according to the particular procedure which you're being prayoga, which you're following. All the other ingredients should be placed in front of one in suitable places so that they can be easily seen and used. So one should keep a pot behind his back for washing his hands. So we have this big pot of water that you have over on the side. I believe it's the left side, right? Right. And that particular pot is full of holy water, which is going to be used for the purpose of the deity. You should have a separate pot with water for use for washing your hands, in case you touch your face, in case you sneeze, there may be some reason to purify the hands, to wash the hands, and therefore we need to be able to wash the hands, which means that we not only have to have water, but we also have to have some bowl to hold the water to wash the hands, and this can be behind you, so you can easily get to it if you need to purify your hands, but it's not part of the main patras or the main containers that you use for the purpose of worshiping the deity. So then continuing on, text 32 to 34, we're going to have a bit of a Mahatmya, a glorification of these different containers that are used in the worship of the Lord. And it says here from the Devi Purana, don't know what that means. It may mean Devi Bhagavad Purana. We have to look it up. There it is stated. Containers can be of various shapes, colors, and designs. So you can see in different temples in India and different places and different sects, they might have different types of containers. And it's common also, sometimes we have on puja paraphernalia or different items that are used in puja, they're made very fancy in different ways. For instance, some of the bells we see bells with Garuda on top. We see bells with Shiva Lingam on top. We see bells with Nandi on top, used by Shaivites. We see bells with Shankha Chakra, the Lord's weapons, on top, used by Vaishnavas. We see bells with Hanuman on top, used by Madhvas. We see containers that might have tilak and Shankha Chakra embossed upon them because they're used in a Vaishnava temple. We see all sorts of different containers, different shapes, different sizes, different colors, and it says here they can be in the shape of a lotus. So not exactly sure what a container in the shape of a lotus would look like, but then it says they can be white like conch shell, they can be blue like a blue lotus flower, or any other pleasing color. So it's up to you what kind of container you use, and probably you follow the tradition the particular lineage that you come in, and there might be some other descriptions in other places for different people in different sects. So they can be made of jewels or of other valuable materials. The main consideration is that the containers should look good and be easily available. So by offering argya in a gold container, one achieves his desired benediction. If it is offered in argya is offered in a silver container, one's duration of life increases, right? And one achieves auspiciousness. If it is offered in a copper container, one achieves good fortune. Then if it is offered in a clay pot, one achieves piety. So these are all good benedictions for these different types of containers. We don't know so many people who have gold vessels. There are a few very ancient temples and very rich temples, and or Maharajas or great big mutts in India that do have gold and silver paraphernalia. But it's very, very common to go into the marketplace and purchase paraphernalia for worshiping the deity, either in silver or in copper, or sometimes in brass, in other metals also. If the person is a sannyasi, then sometimes they make all everything is made out of wood, because they don't want to touch any type of metal, because metal is made by heating it, and heat is rajasic, and the sannyasi shouldn't touch anything or come in contact with anything rajasic. So then continuing on from Vraha Purana in text 35 to 37, it explains some. So now Vraha Purana, by the way, is a very good source for learning more about deity worship. If anybody wants the full translation in English of Vraha Purana, I can provide that. But we have the 32 offenses in deity worship are listed in Vraha Purana, and there's a lot of very valuable information in Vraha Purana about deity worship. So here he's given three verses from Vraha Purana, and explained in those verses that although devotees may offer me, this is Lord Varaha speaking, gold, silver, or bell metal pots. Now, bell metal is a mixture of several different types of metal in an alloy, which specifically for bells is very good, because it makes that nice sound when the bell is rung. And bell metal also is very similar. It has a very similar look to brass, but in fact doesn't tarnish as much as brass. So if you have a deity made of bell metal, or if you have any pots made of bell metal, they're much easier to keep clean and shiny than a brass deity or a brass vessel. So we have gold, silver, bell metal, and pots made of copper. So out of all of these, right, pots made of copper are his favorite, Lord Varaha's favorite, is what he's saying. Copper is the most pure amongst all pure objects. Okay, so now if we analyze this, we can understand that if you make something out of gold, it is not pure gold. There are different types of gold, different carats of gold. So you have, even from 12 carat, 18 carat, usually in India, nothing less than 22 carat gold. But you don't have full 24 carat or 100% gold, because that's very, very soft. And if you had a vessel, or if you had something made of 24 karat gold, it would bend very easily. So normally they add some silver, or they add some other metals to the gold, which are harder than the gold, to make it usable as an ornament or as a vessel. So gold isn't pure. If you get something made of gold, a vessel made of gold, it's not going to be 100% pure. It's going to be 22 karat gold or 18 karat gold. It'll be less. The same thing with silver. Silver is a little bit less. If you make pure silver, will also be very, very soft. So we have, for instance, sterling silver, which I believe is 27. I'm not quite sure about the percentages of it, but anyway. So you have different types of metals which are cut. right? So silver is also cut. Bell metal is, of course, a mixture of different types of metal, right? And brass is also a different alloy, right? So they're also not pure metals. Copper, however, when copper is made into vessels, copper is 100% pure copper. So here it's saying copper is the most pure amongst all pure objects. So when we use copper, this is why Lord Varaha likes it, because it's a pure metal. It's an absolutely pure metal. So the most auspicious amongst all auspicious things, and the most purifying because it destroys one's material bondage. So the use of copper in puja vessels is considered, according to this quote from Varaha Purana, to be better than gold or better than silver or better than any other metal, because these other metals are all alloys. My devotees, being always inclined to worship me, shall not fail to use pots made of copper. So there's a pramana from Varaha Purana. We can look it up in Varaha Purana, but Lord Varaha likes to have these copper vessels. Now, the problem with this pramana is that in actual usage, many people don't use copper, even though it's a pure metal, because it tarnishes very easily. So even more easily, it gets a patina on it, it gets tarnished, and therefore it has to be cleaned with tamarind or with lemon juice or with something. It has to be cleaned, it has to be shined, and therefore many people don't use it because of that reason. So they prefer to use gold, which doesn't have to be cleaned, silver, which has to be cleaned very little, or some of these other metals like bell metal, which have to be cleaned quite little. So copper is more expensive, I think, than nowadays than brass. So copper also might be more expensive as well. So for that reason, in actual fact, when we look at temples and different people's houses, the puja paraphernalia that they use is mostly, people will choose silver. If they have a choice, they'll choose silver because it's easier to keep clean. Gold will be too expensive these days, or they'll use bell metal like that. But maybe in northern India they call this bell metal astadata, or eight types of metal or something. In South India they have also a type of mixture of metals which they make into deities and to paraphernalia called panchaloha, which means 5 types of metals which are put together. It's also another type of alloy. Okay, so I think that's pretty clear. So although the Shastra says copper is the best, in actual fact, people don't necessarily use the copper vessels all the time. So continuing on, we have another verse, which also apparently comes from Varaha Purana. And it says, some people say that if copper pots come in contact with milk products, then they become contaminated. The milk products become contaminated. And again, this is because of the reaction between some milk products, especially products like yogurt, the dahi, or in Sanskrit it's called dadi, which is very acidic, and it will when it comes in contact with copper, it'll become contaminated. So therefore, if you have a thing called like madhuparka is a mixture of milk products, right? It has ghee, it has yogurt, it has milk in it. So therefore, it's not recommended that you use pots made of that. It's recommended that you use pots made of a different type of metal than copper. If you're going to use copper for your pots, then use another type of metal if you're going to have a pot for madhuparka. So, and sometimes people say even that you should keep madhuparka in a conch shell because it won't react with the conch shell, won't react with these other metals, but it will react more with the copper. So it's recommended that you use pots of another metal for keeping the madhuparka. Now continuing on, text 39 says, some people like to use the conch shell for offering arghya. So either pouring the arghya out from the conch shell and sprinkling on the head, or pouring it over the hands of the deity. This is the purpose of argya, right? And some people use the conch shell for offering argya. It's stated in the Skanda Purana that one should offer argya consisting of pure water, flowers or flower petals, right? Sesame seeds, and this will mean the type of the white colored sesame seeds, not the black sesame, right? White sesame seeds and rice paddy. Rice paddy again. Here it says rice paddy. Rice paddy normally means that the rice with the husk on the rice, but in this case, I believe that we do not use the rice with the paddy on it, but we use the husked rice or the what we call akshata, or just rice that has been husked already. So here it's beginning to give some of the ingredients, some of the samagris that go into the particular vessels. We have a vessel, and we would add to that vessel flowers or flower petals, sesame seeds, and rice paddy or rice grains, right? And then we would fill that up with pure water, and that would be used for the argya, right? So this is useful if we are washing the hands. Sometimes if we have just water, if we wash our hands with water, we don't get all the dirt and grime off them. But if we mix in some things that are some things like the rice paddy and sesame seeds, that will help to clean off certain aspects of dirt on the hands. So for washing the hands, that would be very good. So that's what it's saying here, that some people like to offer argya, and this is what they put in the argya. They like to offer it from the conch shell. That doesn't mean that you have to establish the argya in the conch shell. You could establish the argya in a pot and then pour from the pot into the conch shell when you're offering the argya. So now it's going to talk about installing that pot. There's a big pot of water that is kept over for deity ritual purposes, not for washing your hands. That one is behind you, the one that's kept over on the left-hand side, and that is called the Mangala Gata. Mangala Gata. Now the word gata means pot. There, as I said, there's other words for pot in Sanskrit: kumbha, kalasha, karaka, and the word karaka specifically sometimes means, not always, but can mean that it has a spout. So these are different types of these are different words used in Sanskrit for pot. Here where they've used the word gata. So mangala means auspicious. So a mangala gata is a pot of auspicious water. Right. The process for installing an auspicious water pot. Now, there's a very, very complex method of establishing this pot, and probably they're not going to go into that much detail here in Hari Bhakti Vilas. But if we look in another book by Rupa Goswami called Sri Krishna Janma Titi Vidi, which is about offering Abhishekam or ritual bath to Lord Krishna on his birthday of Janmastami, or any time it can be used, but specifically for Janmastami, it has there the Veda mantras and a specific process for establishing this Mangala Gata. So we could have a look at that sometime. I have the mantras and I have the procedure and everything like that from Sri Krishna Janmatiti Vidi by Rupa Goswami. So that can be used as a complement to Hari Bhakti Vilas, because it is written more in a prayoga style than Hari Bhakti Vilas. But it also mentions how to establish this Mangala Gata. Right, now, so for achieving the benefit, one should place a pitcher filled with water that is decorated with fruit and twigs in front of Sri Krishna. Right. So when it says fruit here, some people are saying, okay, well, how is the pot decorated with fruit? Normally in South India, that word fruit will mean a coconut. A lot of people don't think of a coconut as a fruit, but for instance, in Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, we say Shripalam. A Shripalam, a palam means a fruit. A Shripalam, an auspicious fruit, is a name for a coconut. So sometimes in Sanskrit you'll see as a narikela. Narikela is the word for coconut in Sanskrit, but in many texts, you'll see Shripalam. It'll be said Shripalam. And Shripalam means that you should use a coconut, and the coconut is used to cap the mouth of this auspicious pot. So we're not exactly sure. Maybe if we look in the commentary, we can see some more details about this. But it says somehow or other there's fruit involved and there's twigs involved. The twigs could be, in my opinion, they have a thing called panchapallava. It means that there are five leaves which are put in the mouth of the pot, and the coconut is put on top, like that. Those 5 leaves represent, the pot itself represents the body of a deity. It's a sort of, we can invoke any deity into the pot, and normally in the system of Punyavachanam or Kalasha Puja, or in Udaka Shanti, right? The process of making holy water or auspicious water to be used in a ceremony, and there are these 3 different types. Kalasha Puja is the simplest, but Punyavachanam is more complex, and then the most complex form of making this holy water is called Udaka Shanti, according to the amount of ritual that is performed and the amount of Veda mantras that are used. So in that system, normally we invoke a particular deity into the water of the pot, and then worship the pot, worship the deity within that pot. And so that pot is considered to be like a body of a deity, a temporary body in which we can call any deity, and we can invoke that deity and worship that deity. So here we have, and that pot, because it represents the body, right? A lot of times we wrap string crisscrossed around the pot, and that which represents the nerves of the body. The pot itself is the body. The water inside the pot is the blood of the person, of the deity. There are different items that we might put inside, which are equal to the internal organs, or sometimes we place in what's called a pratima. Pratima is a small metal object, usually made of copper or silver, which has embossed on it in relief a picture of the deity, of the particular deity that we're worshiping in the pot. And then we can also put gems inside. We can put grains inside. There are different auspicious items that we can put inside the water of the pot. Then we close the mouth of the pot with the coconut, but we also have these 5 leaves coming out. And the 5 leaves are, many times the 5 leaves are attached to one stem. And normally the leaves are mango leaves, which are put in there. And so they represent the arms and legs and genitals of that particular deity. And the coconut represents the head. The coconut can be, of course, the crisscrossed strings and nerves of the deity can have sandalwood paste, turmeric, put on different corners of them, in different directions. The coconut can have turmeric rubbed on it, and can also have tilak with kumkum put on it. The hair of the coconut is all taken off except for one part, which looks like the shika, looks like the Brahminical shika on the back of the head. So that is placed upwards, and then garlands are offered to this pot. Chadar or a cloth is placed around the neck of the pot, like that. So there's many ways to establish this pot. Okay, he's not going to get into all of that here, but he's just mentioning here that he's mentioned the fruits and he's mentioned the twigs, which I take to mean the leaves, the panchapallavas. Okay, so we're establishing this mangala pot of water in front of Krishna. So there's a more elaborate explanation of how to install this pot in Sri Krishna Janmatiti by Rupa Goswami. But here we'll see what he has to say about it, right? So from Skanda Purana, again, it says one should install a pitcher of water scented with camphor, right? So there's a particular type of camphor called pacha camphor, right? Which is the camphor that comes from a camphor tree. So you have a tree which is called a camphor tree, from which the resin comes out, which is used for camphor. That's natural camphor. So you want to specifically use that type of camphor. Or it's also called, in English, we call it edible camphor, whereas there is synthetic camphor or chemical camphor, which should not be used for this purpose. Because remember that this water is going to be used for bathing the deity, and ultimately it's going to be made into Charanamrita. And Charanamrita, or the water, the nectar which flows from the feet of God, right, is then sipped by the Vaishnavas, by the devotees, the bhaktas, and therefore we shouldn't have these chemicals in there. We should have some natural type of camphor, and that it makes the water very fragrant. So, in fact, in South India, they have a system. It's mentioned also here and also in Krishna Janma Titi Vidi by Rupa Goswami. There are some mixtures of spices which are put into the water. So sometimes these spices are known as astagandha because there are 8 different spices that are put in, and they can be cloves and nutmeg and powdered cloves, powdered nutmeg, jaipala, mace, what we call mace in English, elaichi or cardamom, saffron, this pachakarpuram or edible camphor. There are several different things that are done like that. In South India, in Tamil, that's called Tirumanjana Podi. So Podi means powder and Tirumanjana means for Abhishekam. And so it's called Tirumanjana Podi. So it's a particular thing, and you put it in the different vessels when you're going to do puja, and it flavors the water. So here we have these. It says here we should install a pitcher of water scented with camphor and decorated with fruit. Once again, the fruit here is going to mean a coconut usually, right? In front of Sri Krishna before commencing the worship. This is very pleasing to the Lord. Okay. So continuing on with text 42, it's also said elsewhere, right? Some other place, the forefathers nullify the sinful reactions accumulated since time immemorial of a person who installs a pitcher filled with water mixed with camphor for Krishna's pleasure. Okay, so the first thing is we establish that pot, and if we want to go into detail about how to do that, we can do that, but not right now. We'll continue on. Okay, so then we establish the Argya Adi Patras, right? So starting with Argya, we're establishing the different containers and containing the different waters to offer to the Lord. Now, it's interesting that it says it's mentioned here Argya Adi. Before, when we were worshiping the different deities that we were coming into the temple, the deities of the doorway, the deities of the different enclosures, and the deities once we come inside the different devatas, once we come inside the deity room, it mentioned worshiping them, and it mentioned padyadi, starting with padya. So as I said before, some systems start by offering padya, water for washing the feet, as a service, and some start with argya, offering argya first. In South India, specifically Sri Vaishnavas and others, they start with argya first. So here we have argyadi patrani. So when a Sri Vaishnava sets out those panchapatras, he'll first of all set the argya out, argya, then padya, then achmana, then snaniya, then surodaka. And this surodaka, or vessel which is used for purifying things, the water is used for purifying. There's also another name for that vessel. That other name is called sarvata toyam. Sarvata toyam means it's for any other purpose other than padya, agya, achmana, and snaniya. Right? So sarvata toyam means, artha means purpose, and sarvata means any other purpose water. So sometimes people establish two, the surodaka and the sarvata toyam, and they make a distinction, but normally people just make that fifth patra is just either surodaka, they say surodakam pratistapayami, or surodakam or sarvata toyam, right? Om Namo Narayanaya Argyam Parikalpayami, Om Namo Narayanaya Padyam Parikalpayami, Om Namo Narayanaya Achmaniam Parikalpayami, Om Namo Narayanaya Snaniyam Parikalpayami, or Om Namo Narayanaya Paniyam Parikalpayami. It can be used as Paniyam also. Paniyam is water which is offered during Naivedya, during Bhojasanam, offering food to the Lord. And then in the middle, Om Namo Narayanaya, Shurodakam Parikalpayami for purification water, or it could be Om Namo Narayanaya, Sarvata Toyam Parikalpayami. Sometimes people also establish a separate pot of water, which is used for the puja of the acharyas. So somebody say Om Namo Narayanaya, Acharya Toyam Parikalpayami. So Parikalpayami means to establish, right? I establish a pot there. Yeah. So here we have these is going to be talking about the ingredients which are offered into these different containers, metal containers for argya, etc. Argyadi patrani. So the ingredients to be put in the argya containers, etc. So here it says the devotee should prepare argya, placing sandalwood paste, flowers, rice paddy, which again has been not the paddy, but actually the rice grain, which has been husked, barley, which is a new thing that we didn't find in the previous sloka, a new ingredient, tips of kusha grass, right? The tip of the kusha grass. So when you have the kusha grass, there's a tip end, and then there's the root end. So the tip end, the tips can be cut off and they can be put in the argya, right? Tips are most auspicious. When you lay down kusha grass, when you're doing a fire ceremony, you lay it with the tips facing a certain direction. If you have a kusha grass asana, you try to have the tips of the kusha grass pointing in a certain direction, in the auspicious direction. So when you use the kusha grass for touching, for purifying different things, you touch the tips of the kusha grass to things. So the tips of the kusha grass are the most auspicious part of the kusha grass. So putting the tips in argya is very important. Sesame seeds, again, the white sesame seed, not the black sesame seed. Black sesame seed tends to be used in aparakarmas, or which means the types of samskaras and tarpanas and shraddhas that we do after a person's death, and which are considered inauspicious ceremonies, and not for auspicious ceremonies like this Devata Puja, which we're going to be doing here. Durva grass, that Durva grass here is not Darba, but Durva. Durva grass is a type of panic grass, which is used a lot of times as Naivedyam or Boga for Ganapati, for Ganesha, right? It's a type of short, straight grass. And white mustard seeds. White mustard seeds, again, there's white mustard seeds and black mustard seeds. White mustard seeds in a container. The white mustard seeds are not actually white, they're sort of tan colored. Some authorities have prescribed the use of 8 items, including water. Okay, so here it's mentioned. It's actually mentioned here, astal dravyani. Dravyani means items, and astal means 8. So once again, this is called in South India the astagandha, or 8 different types of perfumes or smells or scents which are used in water. So some people say that use astagandha. So once again, that's also called in Tamil Nadu Tirumanjana Podi. Okay, so we continue on. There are different manuals which are going to give slightly different ingredients for the different patras, but here it's given these items, so we can go from there. So this is particularly for argya. Now we continue on. I would say now add to each of these pots also in Vaishnava Puja we also add tulsi leaf, and if we don't have any of the other items, if we don't have the rice paddy and the barley and the sandalwood paste and the flower petals and the kusha grass and the sesame seeds and the durva grass and the mustard seeds, if we don't have all those things, or if we have few of those things, we can substitute simply by putting a tulsi leaf. If we put a tulsi leaf, that ingredient covers all the other ingredients. Everything becomes auspicious by simply putting the tulsi leaf, because the tulsi leaf is the most favorite of Lord Krishna, and simply by putting the tulsi leaf in the water, that's enough. So we continue on. We'll learn from Bhavishya Purana in text 44 to 47 a little bit more about things that we can put in the other pots. So we've talked about the argya pot, what we put in the argya pot. Now, what do we put in the other pots? So water, milk, kusha grass. Again, when we say kusha grass, we normally mean the tips of the kusha grass. Yogurt, right? Uncooked white rice, right? which is what I said. It's not the paddy, but the husked rice, right? Sesame seeds, again, the white sesame or tan sesame, the white sesame seeds, barley, and white mustard seeds. These 8 ingredients are combined to make argya. Okay, so again, he's giving a pramana here for what to put in the argya patra. So after we get, again, once we get the container and we wash, we purify the place where the container is going to sit, we purify the container, and then we place the container. After we place the container, inside the container, we put these different ingredients, and then we fill it up with water. Okay, so water, so milk, water, kusha grass, yogurt, uncooked rice, sesame seeds, barley, white mustard seeds. These are combined to make argya. So next to argya, the next thing which is established is the padya. The argya is the water for washing the hands or for sprinkling over the head, and the padya is the water for washing the feet. So to make padya, 4 ingredients are used: lotus, durva grass, black rice paddy, and tulsi. Right, so we have the lotus flower or lotus petal or something like that, the essence of lotus, durva grass, which again we talked about, this panic grass, which is very short grass, which is offered to Ganapati usually, black rice paddy, and tulsi. Learned personalities have stated that Achamaniya is made with nutmeg, and when it says here nutmeg and cloves, it means the powder of these things. So we powder the nutmeg, powdered cloves, cacola, which is a type of berry, right, and water. So if you can't get cacola, at least you can easily get nutmeg and cloves. They have also some other ones which are like mace. There's a thing which is called allspice. Mace, I believe in English, is also called allspice. It's a type. It's also very much like nutmeg and cloves. That's also can be used. Similarly, you can also use, although it doesn't mention here, that edible camphor and a little bit of elaichi or cardamom, but it's very common. If you're going to do a big abhishekam, if you're going to do a big ceremony, and you need a lot of ritually pure water, nutmeg and cloves, or just cloves, is enough. Yep, clove powder. So so that is for Achamaniya. Achamaniya water, again, for refreshing the mouth or for washing the mouth of the deity. Madhuparka consists of the following 5 ingredients: yogurt, milk, ghee, honey, and sugar. So these are all five nectar ingredients which are mixed together, and they're also sometimes called pancha amrita. So the 5 nectars. The word amrita means the nectar of immortality. The word mrita means death. Amrita means immortality. So amrita means the nectar of immortality. Pancha means these 5 auspicious items: yogurt, milk, ghee, 3 of them coming from the milk of the cow, and honey and sugar. Honey is also considered a very valuable item, and sugar. Now, I also wondered, sometimes I was thinking, okay, how can we? There are some people today who don't like to use milk products because the milk products come from factory farming or something like that, so they become vegans. So we have this thing today of vegan Vaishnavas. So for those persons who wanted to be without milk products, then they can use substitutes for this. They can use coconut milk and coconut yogurt and they can use some type of other type of oil, some other type of edible oil, coconut oil, for instance. And as far as honey, they could use gur, and then they could use gur means this jaggery, or it's a type of unrefined sugar, and then they can use sugar like that, because obviously the milk products and the honey are all products which vegans won't use because they have to do with animals, and they want to avoid the karma of dealing with the animals in some way. So okay. So, but here in the Shastras, the normal ingredients are yogurt, milk, ghee, honey, and sugar. Okay, now sometimes madhuparka only has 3 ingredients, right? So the word madhuparka, it's a type of auspicious drink which is offered to a guest, right? In the wedding ceremony, when the bridegroom comes into the arena and comes into the wedding mandapa, the father of the bride greets him and gives him madhuparka. So madhuparka is a drink which is offered as a reception drink to a guest. When somebody comes to your house, the very first thing is you say, "Come in, sit down. Would you like something to drink?" Well, would you like something to drink? That is the madhuparka. That's when you give the madhuparka. It's a reception drink. It's a milkshake that you give to somebody as a special drink for them, and therefore it has special ingredients. And it is specifically called madhuparka because it has madhu in it, and the word madhu in Sanskrit means honey. So honey was a very auspicious, very prized ingredient in those days, very expensive and difficult to get. So that was a prized thing that you would offer to a guest. You would offer him a very exotic drink. Okay. So madhuparka can also be made in the following way, right? The following way, with 3 ingredients. And those 3 ingredients, as mentioned in Vishnu Dharma in text 49, are Ritam, Dadi, and Chudra. So ghee, yogurt, and honey. So simply ghee, yogurt, and honey. Obviously, there's a little bit of ghee, mostly yogurt, and a little bit of honey to sweeten, like that. So the ghee just gives it the creamy or the very rich flavor, but basically it's a yogurt honey drink. It's like a yogurt lassi. I mean a honey lassi, honey flavored lassi. So very nice. This is another way of making madhuparka according to Hari Bhakti Vilasa. So you can either make it as panchamrita, you can make it with those 5 things, or you can make it with these 3 things. That's the recommendation. So then continuing on, texts 50 and 51 from the Adi Varaha Purana. And I'm not sure whether this Adi Varaha Purana is different from the Varaha Purana, because usually you have the Varaha Purana is considered a Mahapurana. It's considered a Sattvic Purana. It's one of the 6 Sattvic Puranas out of the 18 different Puranas, Mahapuranas. There are also Upa Puranas or smaller Puranas. So this Adi Varaha Purana may be one of the smaller Puranas. We have to look it up. But anyway, in those texts, it describes a little bit more. And it says, one should offer me madhuparka, which consists of yogurt, ghee, and honey. So here it's mentioned like that. Placing it on a copper plate. Right? Now, specifically it says here, let's have a look in the Sanskrit, but it seems to specifically say that we should put this on a copper plate. I'm not seeing the word for copper exactly here, but anyway, the point is, remember that previously it was said that we shouldn't use copper for madhuparka. And the reason is because the yogurt and the copper are going to react with each other. But perhaps this copper has been cleaned very nicely and it's very shiny, and therefore we can use it. I don't know. So exactly why it's being said here, but it's part of the quotation from the Adi Varaha Purana that we use a copper pot to offer this yogurt, ghee, and honey mixture of madhuparka. If honey is not available, now we're going to get into what we call substitutions. As I was saying, when you have these different ingredients and you don't have a particular ingredient or any of those ingredients, you can use a tulsi leaf instead. And just put a tulsi leaf in water, and that's fine. And even if you don't have tulsi, you can chant the name of tulsi, and you can substitute just meditating on tulsi and just offer pure water. But here specifically, they give some things which can be used if you don't have particular items as substitutions. So if honey is not available, one can use molasses, which is another type of sugar which is made. So, O thin-waisted lady, so this is coming from a Purana, so Lord Varaha is talking to the goddess of the earth, and he's saying, O thin-waisted lady, in the absence of ghee, one can use puffed rice. That's very interesting. So instead you could use puffed rice. instead of ghee. And if yogurt is not available, one can use milk as a substitute. If you don't have the yogurt, you can simply use milk. So it is possible that you could make some, if you don't have this ghee, yogurt, and honey, you could actually take puffed rice, milk, and molasses, and you could make madhuparka. So if you don't have yogurt, you can just simply offer some milk, some sweet milk, and here it says to offer some puffed rice in it if you don't have any ghee. So that's very interesting. So then continuing on, text 52. If none of these ingredients are available, then the worshipper should simply meditate on them. Meditate on those particular ingredients while throwing flowers or flower petals into the container for bathing the Lord. According to Sri Narada, only fresh water can be used as a substitute for any and all of the above items. So even if you don't have any of these items, you can simply use fresh water, only water, just water to offer as worship of the Lord. Very common when people are traveling, they're worshiping, they take a shalagram or they take a small deity with them. Sometimes you see people come to a temple, beside the temple is the temple tank, they take bath in the tank. After they take bath, they wear a cloth and they put on tilak and they sit down and they have a small container that they've brought with them. And they open up the container, they have a shalagram or they have a small deity, and they perform worship of the deity with the water from the tank, that's all. They don't have any other ingredient, but they only have water. So one can offer, this is very useful instruction by Narada himself, who is an expert in deity worship, having authored Narada Pancharatra, which is a great scripture on deity worship. So he says you can simply use water for any and all of these above items. And the idea is that the worshipper meditates on these different items and simply uses the water. And I would add, if you have tulsi leaves, then you could add tulsi, that makes it even better. So continuing on here, text 53 and 54 says one should chant the Mula mantra 8 times. Remember, the Mula mantra is the root. Mula means root, the root mantra, the mantra which we're going to worship the particular deity with. In this case, it's the Astadasakshara mantra or Gopal mantra, Tam Krishnaya Govindaya Gopijana Vallabhaya Swaha. And that is chanted, therefore, 8 times, right? Placing it on top of each container. So the normal method of this is called Patra Parikalpanam. So we talked about Patra Sadhanam before. Patra Sadhanam means purifying the place, purifying the particular container, placing the container on the place, putting the items, the different items that we talked about, nutmeg and cloves and all these different items inside, filling it up with water. Then after we do that, covering the mouth, the top of the container with the right hand, right? And then here it says, chanting the Mula mantra 8 times over each container, right? That is called Patra Parikalpanam. So Patra Parikalpanam. And one should protect them by displaying the chakra mudra. The chakra mudra is a mudra, and it's either like this, by holding the hands like this, or by holding the hands like this, displaying the spokes of a wheel, like a chakra, over the top of each of the containers, like that. So in the Sri Vaishnava system, they touch the top of the container, and they'll use the Astakshara mantra, which is Om Namo Narayanaya, because they won't be using this Tam Krishnaya Govindaya Gopijana Vallabhaya Swaha mantra. So Om Namo Narayanaya Argyam Parikalpayami, Om Namo Narayanaya Padyam Parikalpayami, Om Namo Narayanaya Achaminiyam Parikalpayami, Om Namo Narayanaya Shnaniyam Parikalpayami, and in the middle, Om Namo Narayanaya Sudodakam Parikalpayami or Sarvatatoyam Parikalpayami, right? Like that. And then you can show different mudras. There are different mudras that can be shown. Here it said, show the chakra mudra. Show the chakra mudra. Now, also another thing which is done in normal Pancharatric worship is that we do what is called Soshana, Dahana, and Plavana to purify these pots we do what is called soshana, which means drying, dahana, which means burning, and plavana, which means nectarizing, right? So soshanam, or drying, is done with a bija mantra called yam. The bija mantra yam is for vayu, or for the air, and the air dries things out. When you have a big wind, right, it tends to dry out things. The leaves get dried out, the clothes on the line get dried out, right, by the wind. The wind dries things. So when we want to dry something, we dry it with the wind. Dahana has got to do with burning. Burning has to do with fire, and the bija mantra for burning is ram. Ramagnaya namaha, right? We can say yam vayave namaha for vayu, for the wind, yam. For agni, for fire, ram. And then for nectarizing, we think of yam vayave namaha. Vam, which is the bija mantra for Varuna. Varuna is the god of the sea or of the ocean of liquids. He's the god of liquids, right? So if we want to nectarize something, if we want to sprinkle some nectar on something to purify it, we say Vam Varunaya Namaha. So the way that people do this is it's also mentioned in Hari Bhakti Vilasa, but it's not clearly explained how to do it. But normally what people do is they draw on the palm of the hand in whatever script is normal for you, but people will mostly draw in Devanagari script, and they will draw yam on the hand, yam, and they'll say at the same time, they'll say the mantra Om Yam Vayave Namaha, and they'll say Soshayami, and they'll show the bija mantra while they say it on top of the thing, and to be purified. So they'll first dry, then burn, then they'll nectarize. So they'll do like this: Yam Vayave Namaha Soshayami, Ramagnaya Namaha Dahiyami, Vam Amrita Namaha Plavayami. And then they may show Denu Mudra, which is a purificatory mudra. They may show Chakra Mudra. It depends upon the prayoga, the different prayoga. But this is this is called Soshana, Dahana, and Plavana. And then normally Surabhi Mudra comes afterwards, or Denu Mudra, which is showing the cow's udder, which purifies the item. So this is very normal. If you want to purify something, you first of all dry it up, burn it up, and then nectarize it. We're going to come after this. We're going to come to the point of talking about Bhuta Shuddhi. Bhuta means the different material elements in the body, in the practitioner's body, in the person who's going to do the puja's body. So those elements in the person's body are also burned up. Dried up, first of all, then burned, then nectarized, turned into nectar, right? And we use these different bija mantras, yam, vam, yam, ram, and vam, right? And we use some other bija mantras also in the particular Gaudiya version of Bhuta Shuddhi, which is given in Hari Bhakti Vilasa, which is coming up. We're going to use those bija mantras for mentally purifying the body, because we can only worship the Lord when we have a completely pure body, and we therefore have to go through a mental process of Bhuta Shuddhi. Shuddhi means to purify, purifying the elements that the body is made out of. Otherwise, our body is similarly, when we install the deity, we have a form of the deity which is made of material elements, and then we have to first of all purify those elements and recreate those elements as spiritual before we can ask the Lord to manifest through that particular deity in installation. So the same thing we have to go through every day when we worship just like we have to do an installation for the form of the Lord. We have to do that every day for ourselves. We have to purify our bodies. That is called Bhuta Shuddhi. So we're coming that in a minute. We'll come to that. Okay. So here we're simply talking about purifying the containers. So we have to establish the containers. After the container is completely established on the ground in a pure place, the container is pure. It's filled with the items that it needs to be filled with. It's filled with water. Then we have to place the hand on top of it. we have to chant the Mula mantra 8 times. We have to show the chakra mudra over the top. And perhaps we also do the Soshana, Dahana, and Plavana, right? System. That remains to be seen. That may be in the commentary, or it may come some other. I'm not exactly sure exactly where it comes, but it is there definitely in Hari Bhakti Vilasa also. It's mentioned. So okay. So then after this is all finished, after we've done the Patra Sadhanam, Patra Parikalpanam, right? The next thing is, after sitting on the asana, before starting the worship of the Lord's worship, a devotee should recite various auspicious mantras to create a spiritually charged atmosphere as recommended by great saintly persons. Okay? So after establishing all the items, establishing all the ingredients that we're going to use for the worship of the deity, then the very first act that we perform is we chant some auspicious mantras. Like Mangalacharanam, when in the beginning of every book there's a Mangalacharanam. Mangalacharanam means auspicious prayers offered at the feet of the Lord. So these auspicious mantras are given here. So in the next verses we have Mangala Shanti. There's a Shanti means peace, and Mangala means auspicious. So to invoke auspiciousness and peace, we chant the following mantras. Now these mantras can be found in different Vedas. These are actually all of these mantras up until Brihaspati Radhatu. These are Veda mantras. So these are Vedic mantras. They can be chanted in a Shukla Yajurveda way, in a Krishna Yajurveda way. They may come in different Vedas, or other Vedas also. So depending upon the branch of the Veda that the practitioner is following, right, he chants them in that way. And then at the end, he adds this, Om Shanti Shri Krishna Padapadmaradhaneshu Shantir Bhavatu. Let there be peace, like that, for the worship of Lord Krishna, like that. So we have here, we'll just go through this. Om Badram Karne Bishrino Yama Devaha Badram Pasyem Akshara Bir Yajatraha Stirairange Estustuvagum Sastanobihi Vyasema Deva Hitam Yadayuhu Swastina Indro Vriddashravaha Swastina Pusha Vishwavedaha Swastina Staksho Aristinemehi Swastino Brihaspati Dadatu Om Shanti Shri Krishna Padapadmaradhaneshu Shantir Bhavatu. Okay, so that's what has to be chanted like that. Now there are other mantras that can be chanted, right? This is an example of a Mangala Shanti. If you want to follow strictly according to Hari Bhakti Vilasa, this is the Mangala Shanti which they use. Okay, we'll find that there are other Mangala Shantis, other introductory mantras that are used in other prayogas, in other systems, in this, for instance, Krishna Jama Titi Vidi by Rupa Goswami, or in some other prayogas. Okay, so what does it mean? What is the translation? Okay, the translation is, O demigods or devatas, may we always hear auspicious narrations. O performers of sacrifice, may we always see auspicious objects. May our bodies remain healthy, and may we enjoy a long duration of life. O Vriddashrava, Indra, kindly bestow auspiciousness upon us. O Vishwaveda Pusha, kindly bestow auspiciousness upon us. O Aristonemi Tarksha, please bestow auspiciousness upon us. O Brihaspati, the spiritual master of the devatas or demigods, please bestow auspiciousness upon us. After chanting this, one should chant the mantra beginning with Om Shanti and ending with Shantir Bhavatu. And now we're getting closer, very closer to the actual worship of the deity. And so we'll continue on next time.
Great, thank you.
Okay. There's no questions about that, no?
It was very clear, and it's also
pretty clear.
Very nice. Yeah. Very nice, because I know your prayogas and I know the things from prayogas, but it was nice to see it also in the book itself.
Yeah, it's nice to see that in Hari Bhakti Vilasa they give the pramanas from different shastras for doing all these things. So that we have to know. We have to know that that's authorized. That's an authorized system. Right. And then we put it all together and we have a procedure, step-by-step procedure. And we follow that. Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.